Okay, we're live. Matt. Unfortunately, nobody can hear us, which is very nice. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe not even me? How do they not even... I can see it in Zoom. Uh-oh. You can hear me. Okay, I just need to fix everyone else. I think I have it. 1 second. Try talking. Yeah.
Hello.
Hello.
Yeah, I think we're gonna be good.
Okay. Are we good?
Yeah, I think it wouldn't be a proper live stream without technical difficulties.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, let's just wait for the chat to verify that they can hear all of us, but...
Hello.
Let us know, please, if you can hear Joe and Matt as well.
Yes, please let us know.
But it looks like everyone is... Okay,
Okay,
yeah.
everyone's saying
Very good.
yes. All right, let's start this over again then. All right, thank you everyone for dealing with us. It's only show 2, so problems will come here and there. But yeah, so I'm Matt Stoltz. Thank you for joining us for episode 2 of Prusa Live. If you have any questions this week, while we're trying to monitor the stream, it goes by pretty quick. Tweet to us with #Prusa Live, #Prusa Live, and that's the best way for you to get questions to us this week. And shortly we will be joined by David from our firmware team, the head of our firmware team, along with Yuri, one of the firmware developers. But let's get the show started. So let's kick it off again with PrusaPrinters picks of the week. What did you guys bring this week? Joe, you want to kick us off there?
I'm the first one. So or something. I remember using it as a kid when I helped out on the house. But this one is pretty small, and I can imagine that you can use it for mixing some beverages. But before that, you need to coat it in something which is food safe. And it is on PrusaPrinters by Stay at Home Bob. So feel free to share some crazy ideas how to use this.
Wonderful. What do you have for us this week, Mickey?
It's pretty. Look at it. It's a solder fume extractor. The author called it the Fumagator. And it's inspired by the new Mac Pro front cover. So It has these spheres all over the place, and it's printed from Prusaments Galaxy Black, and it's really pretty. I have this big PC fan in it, and you can put like activated carbon filter in it or whatever just you fancy. And yeah, so when you solder, you just connect the cables to some power source, 12 volts, and it will pull the fumes out, which is really good. You don't want to breathe them. Even if you solder a little bit, it's nice to not, get them coming into your face. So it's by KH. It's on PrusaPrinters as well, and it's pretty cool.
I wonder, can you get these fans in 5 volts variants? Because that would be pretty nice use for all the spare 5-volt USB chargers everyone has at home.
Maybe.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, I bet they will be available, but you can use this to upcycle all PC power supply and the fans from it.
Yeah, and getting a hold of a 12-volt supply is fairly common and easy also. But yeah, those things are super useful to have around. If you're doing a lot of solder, all the fumes coming up in your face are so annoying. So
I like upcycling things.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I just
there's a good assumption that when you are doing some soldering projects, if you are not like a complete beginner, you have the bench power supply you can set to whatever voltage you want.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of 12-volt like laptop kind of supplies around and things like that, and I just have a little connector that barrel jack that I can add onto things, and it makes it super easy. And I have it around, so it's sitting right beside me, so I can even talk about it, not even prompted. All right, so my pick this week is from one of my kind of favorite up-and-coming designers. I think he's been doing amazing work over the past few months, past year or so. And he's really been embracing PrusaPrinters, which I love. And it's Nick Daimlo, Bugman 140, and this is his Mesmer pot. So this is a vase mode print, single wall, but printed in our royal blue. I think just comes out great because the way he faceted everything so it shines as it hits different angles just looks gorgeous. And yeah, I love it. So, and we've been planting lots of plants around the house, and so it's always nice to be able to plant something in a 3D printed pot. Simple and easy.
Looks cool.
Yeah, and he's got tons of other designs out there. So I've been loving the everything he's been putting out. So I've been dying to print this one, and this was the perfect excuse to do it.
Someone is asking for links. I will put them in the video description once this stream ends, and it will be processed on YouTube. I will always put the links for the models there.
Yeah, we don't put them up ahead of time because we actually like want to surprise each other with what the print picks of the week are. So we don't share them ahead of time. So it's a little delay in when you guys get the links, but it also means that we get to be enjoying what each other are showing. So okay, so moving on, we've got a pretty big show this week, but we're going to go ahead and call in David and Yuri and have them join us to talk about the new firmware release 3.9. So let me add these guys in. All right, there we go. Hello Yuri. Hello David.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
Hello everyone.
So David is the head of our firmware development team. Yuri is one of the community contributors who's making our firmware so much better than we could do it in-house. So David, if you don't mind introducing yourself, we kind of had this joke a little bit, but your name eludes me.
Hello everyone, my name is David Řehoř. I am the team leader of FDM firmware development at Prusa Research. And since this R sound have only the Czechs and probably one Indian tribe.
Yeah, Miklas was nice enough to even make me a video trying to learn to pronounce it, and I felt so bad that I knew I was going to butcher it, so I acquiesced.
All right.
Okay, so Yuri, do you want to introduce yourself also?
Well, I'm Yuri Delia. I'm just a contributor. I'm normally a software developer. I'm currently working in research from North Italy.
Oh, okay, awesome. All right, so 3.9 is jam-packed. Firmware 3.9 for the Mark III 3S is just absolutely jam-packed with new features. So we thought it'd be great to bring you guys in and talk a little bit about what all's going on there. So one of the biggest ones that everyone's excited about and everyone keeps talking about is Linear Advanced 1.5. But not everyone's totally sure what this is, and I think now's a great time for you guys to kind of explain what Linear Advanced 1.5 is and why it's such a big deal, why everyone should be excited about
it. If I may, I would start with this. I would call it a major technical change. Solve is that the filament in the nozzle behaves like a spring. When you push it, it takes a little time to start flowing from the nozzle and vice versa. If you pull it, it takes some time to respond. So the idea behind Linear Advance is to do the necessary pressure changes in advance so that the pressure in the nozzle is kept optimal. They generally accelerate and slow down the head, bed, extruder, and everything else. That's why we need an algorithm for pushing and pulling the filament in such a way that the flow at the nozzle tip reflects exactly what is written in the G-code. That's the basic idea behind linear advance.
So just to illustrate it a little bit, it's you basically stop extruding a little bit sooner before you like reach a corner, and then you start extruding a little bit sooner than you actually want the filament to come out, because the pressure needs to build into the nozzle before it starts flowing out. I just wanted to simplify it a little bit.
Right, and this will help eliminate like blobs on the seam lines or blobs on corners and things like that, right?
Yeah, it can eliminate a lot of things. But the most important thing is that this must happen in real time. So linear advance 1.5 is basically an approximation of the springy movement of the filament, because doing it properly, computing all the physics would be too time consuming, and the 8-bit and probably the 32-bit won't handle it. Generally, linear advance brings sharp corners because of better. We shall be able to achieve higher print speeds than before. Also, you might have noticed, those who already tried the 3.9, the printer behaves somewhat smoother. That's because the linear advance 1.5 obeys the e-jerk. This wasn't true before. Previous firmwares didn't care about the e-jerk, even though some of the profiles set it to very low values. Last but not least, it makes sense with the new 8-bit Mark IIIs and Mark IIIs. Of course, the main challenge was there are already so many sliced G-codes around the globe, and slice their G-codes.
Yeah, I mean, we even have PrusaPrinters where we share the G-codes, and there are like many already.
Yeah, and I just couldn't approve that we would force everyone to reslice their, like, for example, proven working production G-codes. That is just unimaginable.
Right. Yeah, right. So, accidentally, if you really come across a G-code that doesn't print so well with the new firmware, please report and attach your G-code so that we can replicate and probably find a solution and fix it.
Yeah, but generally, it should port the old key values to the newer ones and work fine.
Yes, it should work fine. The algorithm has been tuned to accept the old linear advance values, convert them into the new ones. It is able to accept the new ones and act accordingly. It should work out of the box, but in case it doesn't, we are here.
I mean, there's the thing with upgrading all the months, even with all the RC releases. But what I wanted to point out that we see a lot of like reporting, but on just one of the Facebook pages, and just someone saying, "Oh, this doesn't work." We love to get reporting on fails and bugs, because that is the way how we make the firmwares and softwares better. But we need as much data as we can get, and we need it on the GitHub as an issue. So for example, if ideally we need the 3MF file because it has the settings you use attached to it and the resulting G-code. So we can rule out if it's a slicer issue or settings issue or the firmware issue or even a hardware issue. Without that, it is not very efficient, because if we have no way learning from a report like that. If you just say, "Oh, I updated the firmware and it doesn't work," we cannot do anything from there. And as all the groups are not run, none of the groups are run by us, there is no way we can monitor everything. And the developer time is spent developing, and you know the amount of the posts on the groups is impossible for a single person. If we would have someone just to look for these reports, and asking people for more information is basically impossible.
Right. So would you suggest put information to our developers?
The most optimal one is obviously the GitHub issues, because that goes directly to developers, and you will get response from the developers, and they can ask you for more information. But I understand that not everyone wants to create a GitHub account. So the second best way is to get all the things I was saying you should include with the bug report into an email and send it to us.
Yeah, I think it's fine to discuss things on Facebook, because then it's quick to in the groups. You get a lot of feedback from all the other users, but it's really nice if someone takes all the pictures from everyone, or just says like, okay guys, I see that this is a problem for everyone, and then if someone reports it on GitHub where the devs will see it.
I mean, but obviously we see a lot of issues different issues mixed into one. Yeah. And that basically taints the data. So we would prefer, obviously it is a good thing to discuss new firmwares and stuff in the groups or on the forums. There's nothing against that. That is a good thing.
Right.
But we need to have like the specific reports from every user, if that is possible.
Right. You're just trying to streamline how users can give feedback so that we can make actions on those feedback. So we're not trying to discourage communication or discussions or anything like that, but for sure making sure that we have good streamlined of getting things through.
If you have a GitHub account, it takes exact same amount of time, but you will get a reply from developer.
Right. All right. So moving on.
And it was
one of the other.
I just wanted to stay a little bit with the linear advance, because it was actually Yuri, who we have here, who worked on it. So, Yuri, how did it all happen? How did I don't know how to say it, just a user of our printer, not our employee, started working?
At some point, I was, of course, modding my Prusa. So I still got the kit for the Mark III. And I was quite happy with it, but I wanted to print much slower. So I was looking into geared extruders. It went on for maybe a couple of weeks, and then I disassembled the printer several times. I said, okay, maybe it's a bearing that ticks, maybe it's the gears which are not aligned. I tried everything. And then at some point, I sent an email to the vendor of the extruder. I said, maybe it's faulty because I keep hearing this click. And they actually replied to me, okay, we know something about this. You should try to disable linear advance. And I did, and the clicking actually went away. And I didn't know why, because I never developed for a printer before, but I looked into it. And the reason was that when linear advance is engaged and you are printing, for example, stuff like PETG, which is more elastic, the extruder accelerates a lot in the corners, and without jerk control, it simply skips. So what was happening is that while it was filling small structures, it was basically ticking all the time. I was hearing like if the bearing was bust, basically. In Marlin, I said, how hard can it possibly be?
6 months later.
Yes, and this took something like 6 months, yeah. Of course, it mostly over the weekends and random spare time, but yeah, it took way longer than what I originally imagined. Yeah, even though the code was ready, so the code was working, but adapting it was very hard.
I mean, Yuri, you can, I guess you can, you can testify how vigorously we test everything for a long time until it is perfect, because I think it must be very, very hard to cooperate with us in this regard, because I mean, if you would just make a branch of our firmware and just use it just for the community, it would probably be out for a long time if we didn't bother with the conversion functions.
Not only that, but I have even more appreciation for testing right now, because basically Linear Advanced, when I submitted the original pull request, I think it was somewhere around May of last year, maybe slightly later. And I've been using it ever since. And from May last year to basically 6 months later, we refined it so much more because we found so many small issues. It was tested even more by people. We even got a few more reports where actually Linear Advanced 1.5 had very difficult issues to debug, which are incredibly rare, that you couldn't have found in any other way. So I really thank you also, the users that reported these issues, because I never experienced that, even printing with Linear Advanced for 6 months. And I'm really grateful that people really helped with testing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think what all this goes to highlight is how much open source hardware, open source software really enables someone who is a user to kind of go in and really improve the product that they have. And we encourage all users out there that if there's something with your machine that you don't like, work with us to fix it. The tools are out there and the abilities out there. So yeah, this is really great.
There's a lot of other cool things in the firmware, right? In the 3.90.
Yeah.
I know that I have definitely some that as a just user, I really appreciate, like the screen brightness adjustment, the file sorting, where if you override a file, it will actually be now on top. It's not just the file created, but file modified date, which is very nice. If you use the multiple sheets, we now get the name on the, and then there were so many things in the 3.90. Like
yeah, for sure. I think the MMU users will definitely have some things to be excited about with the new selector blade being enabled. Can you talk a little bit?
Even on the 3.8 in special branches, basically the idea is to enable the MMU to cut filament in specific situations. First of all, I would like to advise users to upgrade their MMU plastic parts with the new stronger ones to get maximum reliability, and of course add a proper cutting blade. The algorithm is as follows. If the MMU load fails 3 times in a row, the firmware in the printer instructs the MMU to cut the filament. During our tests on the test farm, this approach showed significant lowering of failed loads during print. And it was really amazing how much of the failures we could simulate, or we were getting on some machines have just gone away when the MMU was able to cut the end of the filament and try to push the new end into the extruder.
Yeah, that is a nice sleeper feature.
Yeah,
and we actually have another sleeper feature in the 3.9 firmware, which is the display.
Yeah, you mean the brightness?
Yeah, we had the hardware, or at least shipping it for some months, but actually nobody knew about it, and we could enable it with firmware.
Yeah, screen brightness is a very nice feature, available on machines having INC 1.1a and the new LCD board. The user can set 2 levels of LCD brightness, the normal one and the dimmed one, dimming when there is no interaction with the user interface. The brightness menu will automatically occur when the necessary hardware conditions are detected. I would like to stress this because we are getting issues from users having either older, this option gets enabled.
Yeah, so for the screen, you need to have Mark FreeS from the second half of 2019 when we switch to these screens. Okay, we're getting
Crazy again.
yeah, chat
Oh,
is
of course.
asking a lot of questions, and we actually asked for some beforehand on Twitter with the hashtag Prusa Live, and one that I kind of really liked is from Toby. What are the benefits and downsides of using one or another?
Yeah, this is an interesting question. Both platforms are very similar, but so different. Generally, the 32-bit platform is a leap forward, of course, from the developer's point of view. Just tell you the specs. The 8-bit has 253 kilobytes of flash where you can put code, 8 kilobytes, not megabytes, of memory, RAM, while the 32-bit has 1 megabyte of flash and 196 kilobytes of RAM, which brings possibility to do more stuff in memory. The 32-bit platform also runs at 10 times higher frequency of the CPU than the 8-bit. The 8-bit was or is 16 megahertz. The 32-bit is 168, as far as I know. So on the 32-bit, we don't generally run into performance issues yet. Unless trying to do something highly CPU intensive with stupid. Therefore, we can render images, have a graphical user interface. All these nice features generally do not improve the printing itself, but greatly improve the user experience with the machine. So it's also important to think about the users that who will be using
That's
the
what
machine.
I wanted to ask. Like, so if I buy a 32-bit board, is my machine gonna print better? Is it suddenly gonna be 10 times more precise and everything's gonna be awesome?
Not really. The machine, the 3D printer is not just the CPU or memory. It is very much the firmware, of course, but also we must keep in mind that it's a mechanical machine. There are moving parts. There is some hardware which has to obey physical limits. So printing 10 times faster, I wouldn't say it's an easy task to achieve. But generally, the things we are trying to solve on the 8-bit, doing some even assembly language hacks, trying to push the small CPU to do stuff in real time, we are not that limited on the 32-bit platform.
David, I want to ask you, so we are using Cortex-M4, which has the floating point acceleration.
Yeah.
Is that an advantage over Cortex-M3, which doesn't?
It's a great advantage. I don't know the exact CPU cycles, how much it takes with the FPU to multiply two floating point numbers, but it's much, much faster than doing this in software.
All right, so it allows us to do cleaner code, I guess, that we can just use the values from the code and just multiply them.
Exactly.
Not having to do anything with integer, because I remember that with the 8-bit, we converted everything to integer mods. Or
yeah, doing fixed point computations, right?
Yeah, Wojciech, who is the lead of Slicer, which I think should be with us next stream, did that. So I remember that. So we don't have I guess the 32-bit just allows us to create cleaner, more object-based code, which obviously we are still now laying down the foundations for the next generation of printers, which will be powered by 32-bit. But it will allow us to move much faster, I guess.
Exactly. The CPU and the FPU is a great advantage. We don't have to push the hacks that make the code less readable, and it helps. Also, we have a hardware debugger on the 32-bit platform, which simplifies debugging of the code.
That's nice.
Which is a great improvement over the 8-bit, where we couldn't use this. And so many more. It's a leap forward.
Is 8-bit at the limit, or is it not going not getting better? Is there no space for more features, or is it gonna keep being developed and more stuff still to come?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. When I came to Prusa, the 8-bit firmware was at the limit of code, 252 kilobytes. There was something like add 2 instructions and you're gone. Right now, after a few simple optimizations, we have something like 7 kilobytes left, which is enough for many features. And with the optimizations and the linear advance 1.5 we did in 3.9, I think the 8-bit still didn't say its last word. I think we can push it much more and gain some really interesting print speeds. Actually, I was trying one of the farm G codes the other day, and with a simple tweak in the G code, I could reach 3 minutes down from the total print time. And that was just a simple tweak. I think we can push the 8-bit even further.
With the 8-bit, basically we are using the 80 mega 2560 from very early age of the Repro project. And I remember none of us at the beginning even thought that it would be possible to have LCD running, not to mention SD card with normal FAT32 file system, and like things like linear advance and acceleration, because we didn't run with accelerations back then. I remember building printers with DC extruders, and you know how we dealt. We've been talking about the linear advance, but how we've been dealing with this before. I mean, we just printed everything at the same speed because the RPMs of the extruder, if you would try to PWM it down, it is not linear, so it is very unpredictable. So you are printing at the constant speed and extrusion rate without no acceleration. Good time, or not even retractions.
Yeah.
I've got 2 questions in the stream. One was, will there be it's a traditional one, already answered in the first stream, will there be an upgrade to 32 bits for Mark III? And yes, eventually when a successor to Mark III comes out, there will for sure be an already happening if you ordered the printer, which the person in the chat said that he's waiting for the printer. It will definitely arrive with the latest firmware already installed.
Yeah, when I was looking at the chat, I also saw one interesting one, which I know the answer, but I'm interested how David will answer. So since we moved to 32-bit, can we slice on the printer?
Well, the Cortex M4 is probably too slow and doesn't have the resources to do it. Probably some basic slicing, but if you take a more complex code and run it on your PC and have a look at the resources that are being consumed, that takes CPU power. How many cores does it run at, and how many memory does it take? And then imagine a printer doing this. Okay, it is doable. Right now, the slicer, as far as I know, can be compiled for the Raspberry Pi 4, one of the previous versions of slicer, on an ARM board with 2-core, 1 gigahertz, and 2 gigabytes of RAM. It did something, but you can't expect the same comfort and speed you are getting on the PC yet.
Yeah, I guess to not completely diss the idea, I would say it would be possible to do like script if you would want to do like basic shapes, you could generate the G code from a script, but not doing like the geometry cutting and mapping out the path inside the polygons. But I mean, if you would, it would be definitely possible to generate something like calibration G code for some features, I would say, on the printer itself, not having it as like a static G code there. I think that is even on the 8-bit for the live adjust Z calibration, right?
Yeah, exactly. There is a prepared G segments are being computed, but that's all.
Yeah, but that is definitely not slicing. But I would
that's not slicing. That's just generating the paths.
Yeah. But I think it is an interesting insight what can be done with the boards.
Yeah, that's fantastic. So before we leave firmware 3.9, David or Yuri, do you guys have any like personal favorite new features that we haven't discussed yet that you'd like to talk about?
Well, I'd like to say a few words about Power Panic and probably also filament sensor. We did some really good improvements on both. First, I would start with the Power Panic. Well, it wasn't substantially broken in previous firmwares. It was working. But there were just tiny edge cases which could cause print quality degradation when resuming from Power Panic, especially when another power drop occurred during resume, which can happen, of course. Now everything seems to work well, and there is even enough energy left to move the printhead away to one of the sides to prevent sticking to a print. There is one very big task to solve, though. It's the MMU. In some cases, the motors, when the MMU is holding the filament or doing something, the MMU cannot respond that fast. And in those cases, the MMU just sucks all the energy from the power source. So there is nothing left on the CPU to handle the Power Panic routines. This is yet to be improved. And probably the filament sensor. Actually, there are improvements for Mark III and Mark III's too. I would start with Mark III. The optical sensor, the P189125 or whatever is that, had quite a bad reputation. Right now, we were able to get around some of the edge cases. So you should experience far less rechecks during print, even with excessive amount of retractions. That includes specific filaments and also specific speeds when the filament sensor was basically blind. When the refresh rate of the optical sensor was in sync with the speed, with the move speed of the filament, that was one of the cases. So that's one thing. For the Mark III's, there is a new board. Okay, Joe wants to say.
I have one interesting tidbit for where the sensor we used was actually designed for, because obviously the 3D printing market is too small for the sensor manufacturers to even bother with. But the particular sensor we used is actually used on the digital smartwatches for reading the crown inside, reading the shaft of the crown.
Yeah. Nice. I didn't know that.
Yuri, do you have any favorite things that haven't been mentioned yet?
Well, I think we said the biggest ones. I would say that as a Mark III owner, I really love the changes for the optical filament sensor. As an idea for me, I still think we should try to pursue that, because I love the idea that there's no mechanical contact to the filament. I believe the new firmware version can pretty much work around all the issues. I mean, since we fixed those issues, I was able to print all the time without incurring in rechecks. And the nice thing about the optical sensor is that in theory now, it can also detect if you have a clog, which is something which I don't know if we mentioned in the release notes, but it's very interesting. So, and try to print again. And then if it still detects which is stuck, it's going to try to do 2 more times. And at the 3rd time, it's going to try basically to ask the user to do a filament change. So if you really get a real clog, the printer can do something about it. And definitely this is something new.
So there is the actual fact why we stopped using the filament sensors. Sorry, I have to forget.
It's the loudest beep I've ever heard.
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I heard on the Mac.
Remember that mute the phone?
Oh, it was not the phone. It was the computer itself. But actually, what was the biggest problem was that the top of it, but that basically destroyed the function of the sensor, or it didn't work as well or as good. So that was the ultimate decision, because I mean, you just touch it, even though it doesn't break, you cannot clean it. That was the big thing. But we would definitely in the future printers would like to get back to being able to detect jamming.
Yeah, awesome. All right, well, thanks guys. We really appreciate having you on the show, and we'll probably have you on sometime in the future because we're always working on firmware, right? Like there's always
Right.
new updates coming. So thank you for taking your time, and
Thanks,
have a great day.
Thank you. Goodbye. It's been a pleasure.
Bye.
Bye.
So we got really technical. I hope we weren't boring the chat too much, but this is the stuff that you don't really hear from us very often, like the actual devs talking about the features and the stuff behind the scenes. So
Yeah, absolutely.
And the time flies. We have like 12 minutes left.
yeah.
We got to move. We got a lot to cover. So that being said, we have some updates from some things that we talked about last week. One of which is some of the print-on-demand functions. What did we add this week, Joe?
So I just wanted to quickly shout out about that we added a function on the basically print page. Next to download, you can request a print. So you can do that directly from the page, and you can choose people around you. So that is hopefully a starting point when more people will get to use it, and you can use your print time for helping others or starting a small business. But there is definitely more updates coming down the print on demand way.
Yeah, we have the new. There's the button right on the prints.
Yeah. So request a print.
Yeah. So basically, if you're on a print, you can click the request print button, and it will show you users who offer print on demand nearby. Someone in chat was asking if you make money, or we make money by print on demand. I can answer both. We don't make money. We just connect you. And if you make money, that's really up to you. You will communicate. I mean, you as either the guy who is offering print on demand or you who wants something to be printed. It's up to you guys to figure out if it's gonna be.
It's not just basically we think of this as a service for our users. So we don't do it primarily to get some more money. But we will see how this goes, and obviously we need to do some other things like doing the price estimations. If you could set something, so because many of you have no idea how to price this out. We are planning an article on that, and yeah, I think that's pretty much it. I think we will have like every month a little update on the PrusaPrinters, because a lot of features are coming in.
Yeah, and I definitely in the very near future want to get the PrusaPrinters team to come on and talk more about what all's going on and what's in the pipeline on PrusaPrinters, because I think that's definitely an exciting thing forward. Last week we also talked about our new Filament. What do we have?
Yeah, actually we're gonna do a sneak peek of something that's not even out yet and not even
That,
announced.
that was the sneak peek, like.
No. So, thing that's out is the PETG signal white. I think you can see how it's clipping white. It's so white. It's the whitest white PETG I've seen in a long while. So really, if you just need something that has to be white and it's not like yellowish white or creamy white, then this is really white. No glitter or anything, just plain white color.
Yeah, the white colors are extremely hard.
Yeah.
Because there is a lot of titanium oxide, the common white, or there are other pigments, but the white pigments usually, if they are present in a large enough volumes, they create a lot of, I would say, disturbances in the flow. So that is why like gray or super bright white filaments usually have texture. So we will see how this one will go. Because before, I think this is our first true white. Am I right, Nicholas? Oh,
yeah, definitely. This is I know that the Prusaments guys tested a lot of whites and they just didn't print well, so we never released it because it would be a sucky thing to do.
We have the vanilla white where the whiteness is achieved by different way than just adding pigments.
Vanilla white is actually really nice, but it's not for the...
It is not super bright.
Right.
Yeah. It is like creamy, like vanilla, which is nice for some applications, but not for the ones where you need something super bright white.
Right. Yeah, and that's always been a challenge, is having that bright white color. So it's nice to see. Ooh, what do you got there?
And that's the unreleased PLA lime green, which is awesome. Oh my god, sign me up. It's so shiny. It's super saturated. This is...
Didn't we have that at ERF?
Yes.
I think
it's...
Okay.
It's been in the development for a really long time. Like, this zombie hand is probably even in some of our Halloween videos. This is, by the way, I think the hand by Fotis. But yeah, it's great.
Yeah, that is really great. Also, it's really nice to see that you are not clipping nearly as bad at all on the YouTube side of things, which is nice. But yeah, it is really beautiful. I have wanted to have my hands on that since I saw it at ERF. And yeah, you can just shoot me over a spool, Nicholas.
And it's coming out tomorrow, most likely.
Fantastic. That's great.
Yeah, you can look forward to that.
I mean, it's gonna be such a nice combo with the royal blue too.
Yeah, it's the same type as royal blue, Miss Pink.
Yeah.
And do we have any more awesome blends?
And on the Prusaments side, we should have most of the colors in production back soon, because we are still making the orange or Prusament orange for PPE.
Right.
We are still making that because the pandemic is not over at all. I mean, maybe it is in your country and in our country, but there are still a lot of countries where it's growing, especially in Latin America.
For sure.
So we will be making this for as long as it is needed.
All right, so we are wrapping up in the last 5 minutes. So I think
we have more questions.
Yeah, I think we should jump into the questions that we got from Twitter earlier.
Sure.
So Scott Hart asked, when will the MMU2s be available for purchase again?
Marianne Curl actually asked similar thing about another upgrade.
Yeah.
It's a question about basically availability of all the upgrades.
Right.
It is very soon. I think I don't have the exact number because it is still a little bit uncertain, but we are doing that to increase production capacity for the regular printers. So because when the coronavirus started, we had a huge surge of orders, and we don't want to get into like Mark III lead time of 3 months or something. So we are focusing on that, but it should be getting pretty soon.
I checked with shipping before the stream, and the guess was like in 2 weeks, most likely, is a good estimate.
We are still hiring and training more people and finding a ways how to make it. And yeah, it is it is interesting even logistically because the shipping is still pretty slow around the world. And I mean, for the Noctua fans we use on Mark III, we had to like send driver to Vienna to fetch it, so we didn't have to stop production or the increased rate of production. And same is basically with every supplier. So it is interesting times.
So Tom Jackson, Filament Frenzy, who is a good friend of Ed. So there's the Mark III's Jeans edition and the Prusa Mini 007 edition. What do these secret names of these beds mean?
I didn't actually know, and there had to be a little investigation for me to find out. Joe, did you know, Joe?
I know the 007 because the bed I think is 7 inches.
Yeah, that's right. And there's even 7 thumbs, literally like imprinted in orange on the heat bed.
Yeah, and I didn't know about the jeans. Maybe if you have Michael, Michael in the conversation,
I found out about the jeans, and it's because that version of the heatbed was the first one with the jeans edition.
But when we are on it, basically just the Mark 42, that was also a joke by me and Michael, because when I did the first heated bed with Joachim from Germany, the OG heat bed, that was nice, but we called it Mark 1. But then some other people just assume that the higher number means that is higher number more better. God, I didn't like that, so we kind of skipped everything by using Mark 42 because it is the answer to all the questions of the universe, right?
That's
absolutely.
True. I have one.
All right, guys.
Right now, can we sneak it in? I think it's.
Yeah, let's sneak in one more.
I have time.
When can we expect Prusa Slicer 2.3 and Face Shield? Prusa Slicer 2.3, I think alpha soon, but I don't have an exact date on that. But new Face Shield, that's actually like super around the corner. Not
Face
only
Shield,
that.
Yes, we are actually releasing this week the article about how to certify, and we will be providing, if you are really serious about continuing making them, and in some normal numbers, we will be able to provide you with our certification, so you don't have to do it because it is very time consuming and expensive. And we just got there is a project to create a stockpile.
Face Shield, the certified one for the starting with European Union. We'll see the demand.
Nicholas, RC3 and
RC4.
the Pro. No, it is RC3 or RC4/Pro. Both are certified.
Yeah,
but just the Pro because
PrusaPrinters too, of course. The newer version soon.
That is, I think, till Friday or something. I don't know when the article will be out because we are waiting for translations. Because this one, it is very important to have it in all the languages.
Yeah, and yeah, that is worth a quick mention right before we sign off here. But translations are also a big thing that's coming down the path, and a lot are already out there. So a lot of our existing articles and manuals and things are being translated into 7 languages.
Yeah, right. So, I'm on blog and I'm signed in. I'm not gonna show that. I almost showed something.
Yeah.
But basically, if you're on the blog and if you will see flags, so you will see if the article is translated into your language. Obviously, if you're watching us right now, you probably can understand English pretty well. But still, it may be very nice to have it in your native language, or for example, if your friends don't speak English.
I want to thank everyone for tuning in, and we'll see you in the next show. 2 weeks.
we are seeing all the comments down there. I'm monitoring them, and all the Twitter comments. We are not forgetting about them. I am keeping them here in a document. We will try to address them some other time.
Because maybe we could do additional, like, just Q&A with me without the live stream, or maybe Joseph reading mean comments or something.
Yeah,
Sure.
we don't worry about it. We will definitely get to your questions. You know, in one way or another, we will get there. But we definitely appreciate you sending them all in, and we appreciate you guys dealing with our technical difficulties at the beginning of the show. But yeah, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.
Thank you for watching.
See you.